being the absence of, the legal absence of Director Barnett. The fifth, report involving trade secrets, there was no reportable action. The closed session minutes were both approved, also on a 401 vote. There was no reportable action on public employee appointment, no reportable action on conference with labor negotiator, and the hearing on medical staff credentialing, those recommended credentialing decisions were also approved on a 401 vote. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Okay, as the chair of the board of directors, I'm going to take this opportunity to clarify some of the rumors and concerns that are out there. And as the board, I want you to know that it was our decision to place Harry Weiss, our CEO, president, on leave. And as he's on leave, we needed to place someone in an acting position of being the CEO, and we appointed our COO, Louis Ward, as our acting CEO, and he will oversee all the day-to-day operations of the organization. I further want to say that the details of the administrative leave are not finalized. When they're finalized, we will share that information. I do want to say that as a board, we are committed to make decisions that reflect the mission and vision of our organization. More importantly, we make decisions that will continue for you and ensure that you receive the high-quality care that you expect from us and that we are able to give. I do want to also say that we deeply value our staff, our providers, our community, our leaders. And at this time, I want you to know that we are acting in the best that we can for the organization. It was a statement, and with that, I'll close, and I'll move on to any deletions or corrections to the agenda.
No corrections from staff. I did just want to note for the record that Director Barnett is on the telephone. He is not legally present for purposes of a quorum. He cannot make motions or vote on those motions, but he is able to participate remotely at this point. Thank you.
Okay. We have a full house. Bob, there's a full house.
Okay. Oh, okay, great.
Then we'll move on to input from our audience. And this is an opportunity for our audience or anybody in the public to speak or address the board. If you would step up to the microphone, we will give you the 3 minutes allotted time to give a statement to the board. Know that it's not agendized, so we can't respond to it, but certainly we can take it into consideration and pass it on to staff to work on. So could I ask before you answer, how many people are going to be making public comments? Okay, 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Pam Hobday. I've been a volunteer at Tahoe Forest Hospital.
Can you?
I don't know.
But you can't count that because I haven't timed it 3 minutes. For well over 22 years. And I was lucky to chair the Cancer Advisory Council, the Orthopedic Advisory Council, and I served for 8 years on the foundation board. But I'm here tonight to express my gratitude to each of you for the recent change you made in the CEO position. This showcased your courage and commitment to the organization's success. I commend your ability to make difficult decisions for the betterment of Tahoe Forest Health System and our community. I also want to acknowledge and honor the clinicians and staff who have fearlessly spoken up about the organizational culture and shared their experiences. They did this in August of 2022, last month on April 25th, and my understanding is at several scheduled meetings last week. Their bravery and dedication to transparency are commendable. They are truly my heroes. Additionally, I would like to thank our community for their valuable input and insights during the recent neighborhood meetings and communications we all have received. Their feedback and suggestions for improvement are essential in shaping the future of our community health system. And they also shared dreams. And I'm really excited for you to experience their positive passions. Public engagement is widely respected and expected across the communities our hospital district serves. These collaborative think tanks and workshops are used effectively by not only the PUD and airport district, but the town of Truckee. And they all have elected boards as well. So I want to see our community re-involved with our hospital district like we used to be, to foster continued transparency, collaboration, and visioning. So my call to action tonight is let's schedule 2 to 4 community visioning workshops as soon as possible. Owning a management consulting company specializing in culture, leadership, and strategy integration, I am so excited to hear about the interest in dyadic leadership. This collaborative model can bring about rapid cultural change and enhance shared decision-making processes within the organization. As a board, your involvement in establishing its mission is critical. Self-reflection, broad-based input, and slowing down the process a bit, I believe, will be necessary for successful implementation. So Dale, Mike, Alice, Mary, and Bob, thank you. Thank you for your dedication to Tahoe Forest, and I look forward to the positive impact we can now achieve together. Thank you all very much.
Another hand was up.
You still have 4 seconds. No? Okay. You said you had it perfect. You had it perfect.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kamenetsky, radiologist here at Tahoe Forest Hospital. I just have a short statement to make. I want to thank you for listening, investigating, and uncovering the general discontent among the medical staff and its interactions with the administration. The decision you have made is a big one, not to be taken lightly, but hopefully will put us on a path for a healthier and happier work environment at our hospital. I believe part of the problem with the relationship with the administration was a general lack of knowledge among all parties here today in regards to the labor rights of non-unionized employee physicians. It may be wise to have a tutorial or a med staff meeting from a labor lawyer who's up to date on the National Labor Relations Act so that both administration and physicians know what the ground rules are for interaction between physicians as well as the correspondence between physicians and administration. Thank you.
Could I ask you to, I know you all want to applaud, but can I ask you not to until the very end so we can get all the speakers in? The next one that wanted to speak? Okay, go ahead.
So, can you hear me? Is this sound?
Press it? There we go.
Yeah, go.
Okay. Good evening. For the record, my name is Deirdre Henderson. I'm sure the board will be relieved to know that I'm not here tonight to talk to them about sustainability and climate change, as I often am. Instead, I'm here in my capacity as a patient of Tahoe Forest, as are the 3 generations of my family who live in Truckee. I want to thank you for making a change in administrative leadership at the top of the Tahoe Forest Hospital District. As a lawyer, I can appreciate how complicated that likely is. I wish you'd done it sooner, but the important thing is that you've done it now, and I'm grateful for that. It's a necessary first step. I also want to acknowledge the brave clinicians who spoke frankly and thoughtfully and at personal risk at your August 22nd board meeting, at your August 2022 board meeting and last month. They spoke out of concern for this healthcare system and its patients, and the community owes them a debt of gratitude. I have a son and daughter-in-law who were both young doctors starting out as attendings. As I listened to the shocking things the Tahoe Forest clinicians had to say at those meetings, I wondered how I would feel if my son and daughter-in-law had to work in that kind of environment after the crucible of the years of schooling, training, sacrifice, dedication, hard work it took for them to become doctors. That thought broke my heart. You know, the community doesn't come to Tahoe Forest because of its administrators or its board or its marketing department and the billboards on Route 80. It comes because of the clinicians. As patients, we often interact with them when we are at our most vulnerable, and they treat us with compassion and respect and without passing judgment. I imagine there are patients who tell things to their clinicians that they don't share with anyone else in their lives. It's no wonder that doctors and nurses are trusted messengers in almost any domain. So it'll be important for this new leadership to be accompanied by systemic change at Tahoe Forest so that administrators and clinicians lead together in a respectful relationship with open communication. I think this will not only help to rebuild trust, which I think probably has to be done at this point, but it will redound to the benefit of Tahoe Forest as an institution and to the community that depends on it and supports it. So we in the community will be watching closely for the next steps Tahoe Forest takes to implement this needed systemic change.
Thank you, Deidre.
Thank you for starting the process.
Could I clap for Deidre? Anyone?
Andrew Chan, I'm just a local dad, 2 kids, Tuck and Azumi. Azumi was born here, so we have a little skin in the game, but we enjoy great health in the community, so we don't use your services a lot. I don't come with any formed opinion. But I do have to admit, tonight's meeting raised the opportunity for my kids to see civil discourse in action. You know, they've never attended anything like this. So, but my interest was piqued because I understood this must have been a pretty bold decision. It seemed bold, at least by the standards of our community. So, and my past is that since living here, I've always heard, with survey after survey, about how satisfied patients are with the care they receive here. And my opinion is no different, having brought Azumi into this world here, my daughter here. She's not going to lift her head. But what I never heard in all my time living here was, and it caused some suspicion in my mind, how satisfied the staff is working here. And I had some reason to imagine, I didn't have a formed opinion, but based on broader knowledge of the industry across the country, that I questioned it. And the announcement this week made me believe that, maybe those suspicions were somewhat founded, that maybe there's a reason why I'm hearing only one side of that story. And but again, I don't have a formed opinion. I just believe this must have been a bold decision on the board's part, and I have the utmost respect for that. And I look forward in the future to have some presentation both ways of patient satisfaction, but also staff satisfaction at the hospital, just as a community member. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Good evening. Stephanie Olivieri from Truckee. I wanted to thank you for listening at the last board meeting to your physicians, to technicians, to your staff, and to the public. And not for just listening, but for hearing. The most important part is the hearing. And taking an action that has changed so much here at the hospital for the better, I believe. And I was mentioning in the hallway as we were sitting outside that this hospital is the crown jewel of this community, most important to this community. And thank you for taking the steps you have.
We have time for another.
Hi, I'm Josh Kreis. I'm a neurologist here, and I'm also the stroke director and the former wellness officer. And I've come to do three things very quickly. The first thing is just to distribute thank you notes to the board. So can you just distribute these at the right time? Thanks. Okay. And it's not just the board I want to thank. I also want to thank my colleagues, and I want to thank the administrators here at Tahoe Forest who I believe suffered silently over the last few years. That really wasn't acknowledged at earlier meetings, and I don't think could be safely. I really want to thank mostly you community members. I want you to know that we've really felt your support. This has been a scary time for us, and we know through other people who are closer with us that you've been there for us. And I don't know that you know that we've really felt that. And I can't do anything more but just look at you and say thanks. And we appreciate you, and we really hope more than anything that you continue to support us. In the remaining time, I just want to read a statement by doctors Jim Schlund and Jeffrey Fountain, who are two radiologists here. They write, and neither of them unfortunately could be here tonight. We write in gratitude to the board, our colleagues, and the community. To the directors of the board, you will always have our appreciation for the hard and selfless decision you made on May 16 that forever changed the trajectory of our health system. For that brave decision, we emerge into the light and opportunity to embrace change, a change that will be more than changing a name on a door, but a much-needed structural change, a change to advance and become the system our community needs and deserves. We will always be grateful. To our colleagues who work tirelessly and selflessly against oppression, retribution, with little hope or sleep, we thank you. We thank you for being brave and for standing up and speaking truth to power. Importantly, we write to recognize the crisis, the Maroons, the Tredells, the Kochs, the Winans, who pointed the way to great sacrifice, great sacrifice and personal exposure, so we could all follow. We will always be grateful. And not surprisingly, Jim and Jeff write, to the community, this town and the people who define it. This is a unique and special place. You all intrinsically know this, but why? Why is this place different in that special way that makes you smile on the inside when a guest of the community is in need of directions, is in need of assistance, is in need of our health system to save their very life? And it just happens. It happens because of you, because you care what happens to our community, because of the culture of this community. To the Pam Hobdays.
Thank you.
And
thank you so much.
Sure, you can finish it. It's actually from three people. Go ahead. Yeah.
To the Pam Hobdays and the other committed leaders of our community, we will always be grateful. Thank you. That's from Dr. Jim Schlund and Dr. Jeff Fountain, two of our radiologists who were most impacted by the issues that came up. I'd like to just say again, thank you so much for listening. I feel enheartened by this change, and I feel optimistic. And I feel going forward that we have a place to start. I feel that we have the opportunity to create liaisons with our community that were broken over the past 10 years. I feel that the board is going to look for ways to, while respecting the Brown Act, to create dialogue and openness with our community, because that's what this community needs and that's what the providers in this community need. And I trust that you will look at the rules and regs and get outside opinions so that you do not feel as constrained by the Brown Act as you have up until now, and we'll find ways to relate to the community, communicate with the community, and share this forward-looking opportunity with the community. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Barney Dewey, and I am a patient here. And I, along with everyone else here, want to thank you for the, bold moves you've made. And I think it's really opening us up to a much better path for leadership in the hospital. I did want to point out that, in general, this is a very unique hospital, in not just all of the great things about the patient care and the clinicians, but also the government. I mean, there aren't very many special district or that many special district hospitals. Usually they're owned by some giant conglomerate or they're a private, company. Here, of course, the ratepayers are the ones that elect you, are the ratepayers and the elected officials. The voting public. There, thank you. That was the word I was looking for. And so, as was just said, I think you really need, because you actually work for the voting public, you need to really find a way to communicate with the voting public. I think it is very critical going forward. And I just wanted to say that as you have an opportunity to look for new leadership, I think a medical professional would be great to come in, but someone that has had past leadership at hospitals and has handled the administrative portions and is very good at that, and also somebody that's going to be involved in the community more. I mean, I believe the CEO should be out there, involved with the CTA, involved with a lot of the other districts in the Tahoe, Truckee area. So, again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else to speak?
All right. And we'll close. We'll close audience input and move to our, I'm sorry, I've lost my sheet. Do you have the agenda? Yeah. My agenda has disappeared. You don't know any direction unless you got your agenda ready. But we will move on to item 12, which is our consent calendar, and these are...
11, don't miss 11.
Oh, 11, I'm sorry. Audience input from our Employees Association. Seeing no one standing and moving forward, I'll close the input from the Employees Association and then move on to 12, which is our consent calendar. And these are routine documents, usually reports, and are non-controversial. We've got some policies that were approved by subcommittees and are moving up for our approval. So are there any items in our consent calendar that the board would like to pull?
No.
Okay. Hearing none, are there any that our staff would like to pull? Okay. Hearing none, are there any comments from our audience on any of the items on the consent calendar? Okay, then we're going to can I have someone to make a motion to accept the consent calendar as presented?
So moved, Dale.
I'll second.
Okay, it was moved by Director Shamlin, second by Director McGarry, to approve the consent calendar as presented. All in favor?
Right.
All opposed? Then the consent calendar is approved as presented. Moving on to item 13, public employee appointment and employment, and our legal counsel will lead us through that.
Yes, thank you, Chair Wong. We do have before you a proposed employment agreement with the acting president and CEO, Louis Ward. The document itself has not been finalized, although we have final terms, and the document will be available after the meeting. So the essential terms of the agreement are that Mr. Ward will perform the duties of both CEO and COO during the contract term, and the term extends until the board appoints an interim or a permanent CEO. It includes a base salary of the equivalent of $600,000 per year, and all benefits that any other of the chief level officials receive. It allows the board, it is an at-will employment, and therefore the board retains the ability to remove the individual from the acting CEO position, but that just means that the acting CEO moves back to the COO position unless there's just cause for termination. So unless the board has any questions, those are the essential terms. That concludes my report.
Okay. And the board has discussed the items within the agreement and during closed session. And so are there any other things that you want to bring out or say anything about? Anything from the board? No. Okay. Any comments from our audience? Okay. Then can I have a motion to accept the appointment and employment agreement for the position of acting president and chief executive officer for Louis Ward?
So moved.
I'll second.
So it's been moved and seconded to accept the employment agreement for the acting president and chief executive officer, Louis Ward. Do we need a roll call vote or a?
That's up to the discretion.
Okay, so we'll just do a regular vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so the agreement has been approved. And we'll move on. We didn't pull anything from the consent calendar. Then the next one is any board committee reports. And I think Executive Comp met this month.
Yeah, we did, thank you. There we go. Yes, the executive, the CEO Compensation Committee met on May 13th. We did a couple of, just general housekeeping items, going over the charter, the committee charter and things like that. But the primary reason for the committee meeting was to talk about the CEO incentive compensation for the upcoming year. And so what we did, because this is sort of a time of change, is, and a lot of it came out of the retreat that we had earlier as well, but as everybody knows, we've got this Vizient plan engagement consulting going on right now. And what we're looking at are some very lofty 5-year aspirational goals. And laid alongside of those at the retreat were some 1-year goals as well. And so it was the feeling of the Executive Compensation Committee that we use those 1-year aspirational goals for the coming year as the metrics we will use for the at-risk compensation. So that was the bulk of the meeting, was given over to all of that. We're going to meet again in the month of June to actually put the numbers to what we're going to measure. And so we'll be bringing back to the board the outcome of that meeting and for your approval at that time. So that'll be at the June meeting. But it was a good meeting. It was kind of refreshing to just sort of have that course change as to what we're going to measure. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Yeah.
What numbers? Is that salary numbers, data?
They're primarily data metrics.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
What, do you want to come to the microphone and
As a
and say?
point of order, this is just communications from the board, so there's no
Discussion.
public comment or discussion.
Oh.
If the board has if there are some questions that might be relevant after the meeting to
sure.
talk.
Ask me after the meeting. I'll give you some examples, but they're the metrics.
Again, we're experiencing first-time things. All right, so that's our executive comp. Our community engagement, did they meet?
Did not have a community engagement meeting. There were two meetings I was involved in. One is board quality, which I'll share an update.
Okay.
The other, we did have a special meeting on compliance training. I don't know if that's worth reporting on.
That was just for us. So your quality meeting?
Yeah, the board quality, quick update. As we've started doing in our regular quarterly meetings, we had a closed session where we review quality cases. It gives the board an opportunity to really understand at a granular level, quality issues that may have arisen, how they were addressed, how they were corrected, and those sorts of things. The details of those can't be discussed here, but I think it's important to know that the board is getting into that level of detail with the quality teams to really understand, at an operational level, how things are being addressed within the organization. Other than that, we had a fairly lengthy discussion around the 2024 quality metrics that will also feed into CEO compensation. So those will be presented and discussed at a later date. We just had an initial discussion on those.
Okay.
That was it.
And you can see that we're getting ready for another year, and that's why you're hearing some information that's not all complete yet. Because again, we have to wait to see how everything from 2023 shakes out in terms of budget and issues like that. Any further reports from any of the committees?
Yes, for those of you who don't know, we are really two hospitals, one here in Truckee and one in Incline Village. It's a very small one in Incline Village, but last week we had a ribbon-cutting ceremony for a CT scan that was installed over there, provided by philanthropy, which is really interesting. The community got together and said that they wanted to have that CT scan, and it is really the state-of-the-art. It's apparently just an amazing machine. There are a lot of big hospitals, big city hospitals, who don't have the quality of machine that they now have. And they also, the ribbon-cutting ceremony was also for a new mammogram that's in there as well. So anyway, our little brother over there in Incline Village is doing quite well.
Could be a sibling.
Siblings, yeah.
Okay. Is that the end of our committee reports? Any final comments by our boards? Anything anybody wants to say? Okay, then I want to say that it's been a pleasure having an audience.
Yeah.
I think it puts us on our best foot to give the information that maybe you want, and you have the opportunity to ask us questions as well. So thank you for coming. Thank you for your comments. And the meeting is now adjourned.